just go in order of names.
Okay, so
I'm Han Wen,
I'm Hannah.
I'm James.
I'm Nick.
and today we're presenting a marketing and distribution campaign for MetLife.
Today we're going to first go over the characteristics of the industry right now, and then the issue that we see MetLife facing, and our proposal for how we think that MetLife can fix this problem. And then at the end, we're going to have a brief summary. We picked to focus on life insurance for this particular case because MetLife is the leading life insurer for the U.S. and holds about 8% of market share. And then there is a lot of untapped demand even in life insurance where MetLife is the largest insurer, because 20% of Americans feel the need for life insurance, but only 3.5% actually are first-time buyers, which shows a discrepancy between people who need to buy life insurance and people who actually are. And for people who actually already own life insurance, 40% want more insurance coverage than they currently have, because only around 4% of employee policies cover more than 2 years of earnings, and employee life insurance policies are the main one that people have. And these statistics show that the market is not saturated.
So the point here is that there's a lot of room for growth in the insurance industry.
And population dynamics have also shown that the percentage of people who are going to be over the age of 80 and over is growing in the U.S. They're going to have a larger percentage of the population, and that this trend is going to continue, which shows that there are going to be more people who need life insurance in the future. Yet despite this growth in the older population, industry revenues have been declining from 72% of people having life insurance in 1960 to only about 44% having life insurance in 2010, which is a 50-year low. And the 72% to 44% decrease shows $15.3 trillion of unmet need in life insurance.
So what's going on so far? There's a lot of increase in demand in the insurance industry, but at the same time, revenues are decreasing. And why is that?
Studies have shown that consumers put their trust more into life insurance companies than in banks. However, why has the revenue been stagnant throughout recent years? Now, here are 4 of the top main factors that we believe have driven consumers away from the health insurance industry. Starting with the starting point, it's extremely hard to get into an insurance policy. There's so many different plans, so many different pricing levels, that it's hard for consumers to choose. Also, the process to get it filtered is extremely long. There are a lot of paperwork that you have to go through, a lot of medical exams, physical exams, and then finally the company has to underwrite the process. Lastly, it's also extremely a morbid topic. Nobody wants to think about what happens when they die. However, we want them to realize that even when they're not available for their loved ones, that they're still provided for. Now, in the center of all of this is the fear. People are scared to go out and purchase life insurance. It's an extremely long process, it's complicated, and as a result, life insurance is sold, not bought. Now we want to change this approach for consumers to actively seek out life insurance.
To build on top of what Nick's just said, these are all the reasons that people don't want to buy life insurance. In fact, it pushed them away from life insurance so much that we actually have to push life insurance onto them. We have to hire insurance salesman who takes a ridiculous amount of commission to sell life insurance to people. We want to have people see that life insurance is not an evil. It's a needed asset for life. And after we achieve that, they will actively seek out to buy it.
Now, there are several misconceptions that consumers have about the life insurance industry. First of all, many of them think that the process is convoluted. While many of them believe that it's a good safety measure that provides security and protection, they also are extremely anxious, confused, and wary of the entire process. Now, is this really justified? While there are a lot of technical jargon and an extremely long prospectus that people have to go through, we believe that this is not exactly the case. Now, another misconception that consumers have is that life insurance is essentially a rip-off deal. They recognize the need for life insurance, however, they don't want to go through the process of selecting, a proper pricing plan along with the different plans available for them. And also, they believe that there's a lack of trust between them and the life insurance companies. Now, in order to bridge that gap, we chose to expand on the program already established by having more in-store kiosks to increase transparency between the two entities.
So because of these negative consumer perceptions that insurance is a ripoff, that it's very convoluted, consumers on the whole have come to decide that price is the largest factor in determining what insurance policy and what type of company to go with. And they don't have as much of a focus on the branding of the company or the financial rating, for that matter, of the company. And ideally, how we want the consumers to behave is that we want them to really see that the goal of MetLife isn't so much to sort of suck out money from the consumers. The goal of MetLife is really to provide the basic concept of insurance, which is financial protection and safety to the consumers. So we want them to really focus on how MetLife is a caring company, how it really values and wants to protect the Americans. So our proposal comes in two parts. So our first suggestion for our strategy is to devise a televised miniseries. And this miniseries will be something along the lines of Dateline, where for each episode we bring in a different family that has previously been insured by MetLife, and they'll come in, like we'll have a overview of their family background and how insurance has been able to help them get through their financial struggles. So we're going to reduce the focus on MetLife by not prominently showing the MetLife logo in the episodes as normally would characterize like a typical commercial, right? So the point here is to indirectly market MetLife, not directly show that, this is how MetLife is benefiting these consumers, because people respond very negatively to direct insurance marketing. And our goal here is to sort of indirectly market MetLife to them. The second part of our proposal is to expand into retail distribution. And the goal of that is to make buying insurance as easy as possible. You know, the buying process for insurance, as Nick previously mentioned, is extremely long and complicated. And we're going to simplify that by bringing insurance to them through retail. So, for example, how this would look like is if you walk down an aisle of Walmart, there'll be shelves of different types of insurance policies, usually varying on the length of the policy. And when someone buys this product, they'll be able to check out. The checkout will pay for the first month of insurance, and these policies will be targeted towards sort of the lower end of the market, primarily final expense policies, and we'll touch upon this more later. So what are some of the benefits and cons of going into the TV series? Well, for one, we're marketing indirectly, right? So we will generate a more favorable attitude from consumers. Also, our TV series has a really emotional appeal because by having real customers, we're being as realistic as possible. And additionally, because it's television, this type of media, we have a lot of control over how we're going to distribute, who gets to watch, what kind of TV channels we're going to use. And additionally, because MetLife will be the first of insurance companies to move into this sort of marketing segment, we're going to have a first mover benefit. And an additional effect of going into a TV series is that we'll have spillover because people will see that we're trying to convey the message, the positive message of insurance. They'll start to evaluate and then explore what MetLife has to offer. So then that will also increase the revenues of our other businesses. And insurance on the whole has been regarded as something very conservative, something that's not really a place for innovation. And we're about to change that here because we're posing insurance as something that's avant-garde. And additionally, TV media is easy and enjoyable for Americans to consume. However, some of the weaknesses that this proposal provides is that we incur relatively high risk from this, right? Because we don't yet know what the production costs would look like. We can only make certain assumptions. Additionally, MetLife, we sell insurance. We're not in the film business, so we're entering completely new grounds. And there's going to be an opportunity cost. We're going to have to invest capital in producing a mini TV series, whereas we could have used the capital to better for example, our annuities, our retirement businesses. And we also face some threats with this TV proposal, right? Because we don't know how investors are going to respond to our idea. And additionally, by talking about insurance, we're indirectly sort of suggesting that there are other insurance companies out there. And as sort of a loose benchmark, we can compare our TV series against what BMW Films previously did in order to better position their brand. And following their release of a miniseries, which was each episode sort of featured a different vehicle that BMW produces, their car sales actually increased by 12%, and it was viewed 11 million times in the 4 months following their release. And now let's take a look at the advantages and disadvantages of retail distribution. So in retail distribution, having insurance products on an aisle, it really uses minimal floor space, so it significantly reduces our costs. And additionally, the target segment that we're looking at, the lower end target segment, these are the people that wouldn't normally voluntarily go out and seek out insurance. So by going into retail, we really make it easy for them to buy our product. An opportunity of this is that it's an additional channel of brand exposure. So people go into retail and then, like for example, Walmart, they'll be able to see that, they'll be reminded of MetLife. And some of the weaknesses that we face are that we need to design the physical product. And MetLife currently has no expertise in that. And with creation of a new line of distribution, there's going to be internal bureaucracy. And a threat that we face is copycats from competitors. And the main benefit of retail distribution is that we really condense the purchase process for consumers. So traditionally how it's done is that the consumer is interested in buying insurance, then they go out and do research on what kind of products are available to them. Then they apply so the insurance company can underwrite them, and then they finally buy the insurance product. Well, with retail distribution, what we're doing right now is that we condense the final 3 steps into just into retail, so that if someone were to go into Walmart, they could just buy the insurance product. It's that simple.
Now, an example of how the process was cut through retail distribution was with Walmart. Now, in 2012, MetLife implemented a new program in 200 stores that had life insurance packages, life insurance boxes on shelves. Now, with the kiosk next to the shelves, consumers could go to the kiosk, input their basic information, and get a relatively cheap pricing plan that will fit their needs and their conditions. Now, based on all our proposals today, we believe that these fit in extremely well with the values that are highly touted by MetLife. We are putting consumers first. We are trying to make the best product out there by having the TV program, by having all these different avant-garde projects to go with the product. We're making things easier by simplifying the process of retail distribution, and finally we're succeeding together with consumers along with the company.
Now, one of the announced weaknesses of this plan was costs. We are trying to fundamentally change people's opinions, people's idea of what insurance is, trying to brand insurance as something never previously thought of. And this will have a huge amounts of cost, but we believe that in the end, the business will grow and it will fundamentally change how people view insurance. And so, some simple cost assumptions. In retail distribution, we have potential to reduce long-term costs in terms of floor space needed to sell the product, commissions that we have to pay to insurance salesmen, and we're going to have fewer brokers, and we're basically going to assume a low retail expense for the long run. And in the mini-series, of course, that will be probably the most expensive part of this proposal, averaging about $3 million per episode, and probably we're going to project that out for a year. And so we did a simple revenue and cost projection, and basically in the short term, from 2014 to 2015, we're not going to. Most of it is going to be in the costs. the net income really captures that. It doesn't move too much because we're incurring such a large cost from our proposal. But if you look in the long term, well, first we'll talk about what competitors are doing. And so if you compare our proposal to whatever other companies are doing, they're using old-fashioned techniques, insurances as proxies for tax-free inheritance, profitable products such as stable value and annuities. I mean, they're not innovating anything new. They're using family planning policies and business partnerships. They're trying to find ideas from people within their own firm. This is not innovation. This is not anything new. This is not groundbreaking. So what we are trying to do is that we have seen that a demand exists. Not really a demand, but a market. A market for insurance exists. However, the demand is not really realized because there are consumer misconceptions. And this is the biggest hurdle our proposal is trying to get over. But with our proposal of innovative marketing and distribution, we believe that we can achieve a long-term positive consumer attitude that will make consumer, instead of pushing insurance products onto them, they will go out to buy themselves and buy insurance. Thank you.
Now we'd like to open it up to questions.
What's our time limit for